Hello all, I'm here with Ruth Tansey, who's at the Inner Health Clinic up in Stockport. She's here to help us understand about gut health and give us a really good tip that we can take away, which will hopefully transform how we feel. I'm really glad she's here because health in my food and my intake has been really, really important to me. But no one really like my family hasn't really sort of said, oh, Laura's really into her food, but quietly. And I've always loved food, but quietly ever since I went to a talk at the Groucho Club, and a lady called Rachel Kelly, a nutritionist, was talking, and she basically just highlighted that there are happy foods and sad foods, and I was like, it just got me. I was like, thank God I do eat, okay, but I do like, croissants, bread, and things like that, and they are on the unhappy scale of food.
Damn it.
Damn it, yes. Baguettes are two of my favourites. But so she's got a wonderful book, and I just remember her, gosh, her back page spread, colour chart, and luckily a lot of the foods that I love, like broccoli and apricots, are in a really good happy zone, but the unhappy foods, it just makes so much sense to me. And as I feel so much stuff in my stomach when things are going wrong. So gut health, as Ruth has told me, we're a vessel of living bacteria, so we need to look after our inner nature, the nature that's going on inside us. So important. So happy to have Ruth here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got to be in the clinic, or running your own clinic?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, because I never thought I would actually have my own clinic all those years ago. But my history, just kind of briefly, is I had an eating disorder from the age of 12 up until kind of like my mid-20s. And I suppose the resulting thing from that was that I don't think my gut ever really matured. So I had initially just awful constipation and bloating. My bowel moved, say, once a week if I was lucky. Fast forward to my 20s, I was in and out of hospital. I was having investigations done. I was put on every medication under the sun for IBS, of which nothing would work. And I was basically just told everything was normal, and I was getting more and more sick. It's resulting, so many food intolerances to the point where I could barely eat anything. Bowel's not moving. I was getting headaches. I was lethargic. I was irritable. I was moody. Just everything was just off. So yeah, it was a real challenge. But the good thing that's come from it, obviously, is that I've become more connected with myself. I decided to leave corporate world, my stressful job and stressful life, retrain as a nutritional therapist because I wanted to understand more about food as medicine. I wanted to move away from all the pharmaceutical drugs. I wanted to move away from the food that wasn't serving me and healthful, and to understand more about using food as medicine. So I trained as a nutritional therapist. I'd been having colonic hydrotherapy since my very early 20s, which was absolutely fantastic for getting rid of the constipation. So I opened my clinic and I was offering colonic hydrotherapy, nutrition therapy. I later trained as a well-being coach and then also yoga teacher. So I kind of bring all those elements together when I'm working with my clients to help them overcome their gut problems as well. And there's so much that we need to do, but I know that the key thing that we want to talk about today is our internal nature reserve, our microbiome. There's so much, that you will read about the microbiome and how important it is. And it is so important for our health, overall health, not just gut health. You've got to think about the gut as being the epicenter. It feeds every part of our body, every cell. Hair cells, skin cells. If you want to look good, ladies, you need to feed your guts. So every single cell of the body. And, some of us who are sensitive, if we don't eat well, we will feel it. Whereas other people, they could eat a load of crap and they won't feel it up until the point where they get diagnosed with some horrific disease that there's no coming back from. And then they're on medication then for the rest of their life, or in and out of hospital, or having to have operations. And actually, if we look at what we're eating, if we look at all the convenience food, I mean, the majority of supermarkets, it's convenience food. We want to be avoiding that. Things in wrappers, avoid. We want to make sure that we are eating healthful foods. And it can be challenging because we're all so busy. We want the convenience, it's just grab and go. And quite often as well, when we are eating, we're in a stressed situation. We're in our fight and flight. We're not in rest and digest. We're not digesting food properly. And then that could also result in issues. But the key way to support your gut health is to get the plants in, have more of a plant-based diet than a meat-based diet or a dairy. Those should just be very minimal in our diets. Little Salem coming to join us, my little kid. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like how you were talking, getting out in nature, that really helps to support the microbiome. But eating plants and as much variety as possible. It's quite often when I'm working with clients and look, yeah, I love my veg, I eat it all the time, and I'll say, tell me what you eat, and it's the 5 same vegetables week in, week out from the supermarket. So the challenge is to incorporate more of these health-giving vegetables. So when you go to the supermarket, be looking for the different things that you've never ever had before and experiment with actually making things with them. So if you're not great at cooking, you could be thinking, okay, make some soups, literally chuck all the veg into a pan with some healthy stock, and then cook it up and blitz it, and it will taste amazing because you'll have all these different flavors coming in. You can add fresh herbs or dried herbs to that. But I challenge my clients with a 40 a week plant challenge, and it can get quite difficult, especially if you're used to just having 5 a day. But it just makes you become more connected to what you're putting inside you. So on day 1, you eat broccoli. We all hopefully love broccoli. It's one of my favorite vegetables. And so if you eat broccoli again on day 5, amazing, great, but don't record it again, because it's the diversity of the plants that we're looking for in order to build this robust, healthy gut, which is going to help support your gut health, your immunity, your your happy self. It's there to support every single part of you and to make you feel energized and healthy. And it's just so important to do that.
And viruses like COVID that have come along. I loved what you talked about when you mentioned that if an alien came down to experiment on us.
They would just think we were a vessel for bacteria, because literally we are. We have way more bacteria in our cells than we do cells, which is crazy.
And they'd be shocked at how we were treating ourselves, really, wouldn't they? Probably.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. I mean, gosh, how much healthier were we as a nation before the invention of the supermarket?
Yeah, I know. And gut health. I mean, I'm even feeling it particularly this week because I had a weekend of eating not very healthy foods, and I drank some wine. I don't really drink that much, but 3 glasses I think I had, and I'm just, the energy is gone, the cognitive function's gone. I've also had and it's also compounded by not feeling great anyway, nervous, but it's just, I definitely feel that what's happened, in terms of what I've eaten, has affected my mood this week. So I'm definitely taking on the challenge from today. I think we'll put up a challenge sheet in our Instagram, so people can follow it. And I'll check in with you in a week. But how do you think I'm going to feel after a week or 2 weeks of doing this challenge?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will feel a difference within a week, more energized, sleeping better, more clarity of thought. If they're about to come on a period, they might notice that, I didn't have as much PMS. My PMS was better. I didn't get that headache before I was due on. Or, my bowel is moving so much better, especially if the bowel wasn't moving that well in the first place. Or I'm generally feeling, more energized and happier than I have in the past. And if you carry on doing that, then you will notice, so much of, healthful things, happiness and energy and great bowel movements, and just not getting ill. Because if we build the microbiome, which we house majority of our 2/3 of our immune system in our gut, so if we are supporting our immune system, then it's going to see us through winter, isn't it? We're not going to get all those horrible diseases and illnesses and infections.
We'll be thinking better, won't we, about our relationships, because I know so much that your brain is actually the biggest, well, the biggest brain is the three that we've got in our tummy, in our hearts, and our heads. Our brain is our first one to act. It's the biggest one in us. I know I was watching a podcast on who works with horses. It's just reminding me of this, because they're so sentient, they're so reactive to their gut instinct, and they can tell ours as well. And that's why they're so good to work with trauma victims, because
Wow, yeah.
straight through, they can see the honesty, and if someone's trying to say, I feel okay, I'm fine, like, no, you're not. So they're reacting, and eventually they have you. But it's the biggest thing that I think we miss out on, and our diet is just crucial to everything, our relationships, and our vitality and our longevity. So I'm really glad that you set the challenge for me and for everyone else.
Yeah.
I think
it's for anybody.
Yeah, we can
Anybody.
start. How can we start? Have you got any ideas about breakfast, lunch, and dinner in terms of what to
Incorporating, yeah, no, definitely. So I would say, coming into winter, people are enjoying porridge, but they might just have porridge with milk. You use a plant-based milk. For a start, you can get oat milk, coconut milk, almond milk, switch it up. Be thinking about adding, where can I add fruits and vegetables into my diet? So berries in the morning, great. If you're having maybe some homemade granola, I wouldn't really recommend the shop bought ones so much because they're very sugary, but you could, add in like your coconut yogurt to that and getting the berries in. Or some people might like to have vegetables in the morning. So even having eggs with spinach and tomatoes and mushrooms is a great way of introducing, first of all, first thing in the morning, that you are having something. But I have to say, actually, because there is a misconception about breakfast being the most important meal of the day. And actually, when we fast, that can be more important for keeping our insulin levels stable. So when I say breakfast, it might just be that is your fast meal of the day, which might be at 12 o'clock. If you've done an overnight fast, you've taken the weight off the digestive system. So we want to eat as much as what we would do because we want to get those nutrients in. But it's just kind of delaying when we're going to eat. And then in terms of getting more vegetables in, looking when you go shopping, just look for the vegetables that you haven't had before and experiment, make some soups. Be thinking, if you're eating something like a pasta dish, could you make like a fresh tomato sauce and just put all the veg in and just blitz it? Even like with the kids, they don't even know those vegetables are in there, and it just gives it so much more flavor, and it's giving you all the nutrients that you need to feed your healthy gut. So when you're eating foods, be thinking, could I have a starter of a little bit of soup? Can I have soup on the side? Can I introduce some steamed vegetables or some salad? Always be looking at, where can I introduce more fruits and vegetables? And I think the plant challenge kind of just helps you keep on track and helps you understand, because what you could do is you could do a week of a plant challenge before you actually start it, to go, okay, so on a week by week basis, where am I right now? And then the following week, okay, so now I'm going to make sure that I aim for the 40 a week, and then where, how do I feel? What's the difference? So it can be quite revealing.
Yeah, I can imagine it can be. It's like those programs when the people that put everything on the plate, all on the table, the whole week's food. And you're like, what the? I think it's really, and I'm going to do that actually, have soup, but not thinking, I'm not having soup for lunch every day, but just a little cup of it with whatever I'm having. Then I'm just having a shot of vegetables. So I'm going to do that and just put loads of things in, and fresh herbs like parsley and things like that.
Completely. And I think a lot of people, kind of touching on gut health as well, because a lot of clients who work with me on my programs will identify that perhaps they need to follow a low FODMAP diet. And so people's misconception of low FODMAP is, well, you can't hardly eat any vegetables. So there are a lot of, so low FODMAP it's basically moving away from the fermentable vegetables. So it's when people have SIBO, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which can produce a lot of gas. So definitely people will experience bloating a lot if they have SIBO. So going on the low SIBO diet, so the low FODMAP diet, but also having to use botanicals and nutraceuticals to get rid of that bacteria, But the key thing for me is understanding that you still want to eat as much vegetables as you can. So, for example, broccoli, as a rule, people would think, well, you can't have that on a low FODMAP diet. You can, you just can't have as much of it, but you still should definitely have it. And the majority of it's cutting the stalks off. And it's still making sure, so there's lots of apps, free apps for low FODMAP diet. And I would sort of speak to my clients and say, have a look through that app. I mean, I provide sheets as well for people where it actually gives them, you can have X amount of this. So you can really have a great big huge plate full of vegetables in smaller amounts that aren't going to cause you the issues that they would do if you ate them in bigger amounts. And it's just being mindful of that.
Yeah. So I would say people who do experience like bloating and the problems with it, but obviously the 40 a week challenge, they can also use these apps, these FODMAP apps to navigate through them. That's fantastic. Well, I'm really excited to see the change in myself. I'm going to try and get some family members to do it as well, who I know will benefit massively. I think, it's just so important for us to wake up in the morning and think, what am I thinking about nature? This is what my kind of goal in life is for more people to think, how am I going to connect with nature? Not just going outdoors, and very important to go outdoors and have your fresh air and connect with nature, but how am I connecting to my inner nature? What's happening in my body, which is, those things can affect it. Gardening and being outdoors and being with animals affects your body, but number one is what you are eating and putting into your gut, into how you're treating all your live bacteria. Because you did say to me, didn't you, that it's it's quite easy to maintain a healthy bacterium, what would you call it, stasis, the healthy status of bacteria in your body. But once you start damaging it, and once you go beyond a certain point, it's really hard to build it back up again. Once you've sort of killed off the healthy bacteria, bad choices. So I think it's very important for people to wake up and think, how am I connecting to nature, inside my body, outside, and how am I trying to help the world at large, Mother Nature at large, make my decisions about myself when I'm healthier and happier. Maybe even shopping at farmers markets to get these 40 a day, 40 a week. These choices that we make, the way that we think, if we're thinking about nature first, we can help our own health, and we can help with, planet's health as well, which is in so desperate need of us all to change the dial and how we're thinking.
Definitely.
Fantastic having you with a jungle behind you talking to us and a cat in front of you. At some point I had to explain to people who might not be watching but just listening that a cat has walked in front of the speaker.
Several times.
For Halloween, but yes, a beautiful little kitten, and you're a wonderful fountain of knowledge. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. It's been lovely. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. So the tip is this 40 vegetables and fruit a week challenge, and it will be in a PDF up on the Instagram.
More vegetables than fruits.
But more vegetables than fruits because of the sugar. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. All right, Ruth, thanks so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Botanic Shed. We're here to help you build vitality and resilience by building a deeper connection with nature. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook at Botanic Shed, and at www.botanicshed.com. My email is hello@botanicshed.com. And if you'd like to speak to any of these people I've interviewed, or if you'd like to join us on the show, do get in touch. Thanks. Bye.